LexTalk.World talk show presented by Clickaway Creators. Today we have Miss Dina Gamal El Dine with us. She is the head of retail section in the legal department of Emirates National Bank of Dubai, Egypt. She is a legal professional with over 15 years of experience in the banking industry and legal consultancy. As a trusted legal advisor, she has specialized in the digital banking and finance projects, the treasury and securities law, and the financial leasing activity. She's also attending to corporate matters, including the incorporation of companies, acquisition, and legal integration, and she provides the secretarial support for meetings of board of directors and assemblies. Thank you so much for joining us, Dina. We are pleased to have you with us today.
Thank you, Vinny, for your kind presentation, and thank you for this interview. I'm very glad to be here with you and the entire audience as a member of the legal community.
Absolutely. We are also pleased to have you with us today. And I think this interview is going to be very special because I think this is for the first time we are going to hear somebody from Egypt talking about the COVID-19 and different aspects on the banking industry, since you have been working for the banking industry quite long. So it is interesting to know a legal perspective from the banking industry. So, and we are all keen to know about that more. As you know, we will have a few questions that I will be asking you. So the first question, wherein we would like to know more about you, Dina. So if you can also give a quick brief about yourself, about your personal and professional journey in the legal space.
Well, my father is a professor in Cairo University, and he has been always my role model. He teaches me to love knowledge and love learning, to learn whatever I want to do. If I want to be successful, I should study success. If I want to be happy, I should study happiness and think like a happy person. I'm married to a banker. He's working in one of the biggest banks here in Egypt. And therefore, you can always find a little healthy competition and the fruitful discussion in the banking industry. I have 2 kids. A boy and a girl. They are my primary motivation, and I love to spend the quality time with them. I love nature. I love animals, and especially dogs. Law is a passion for me. I have my bachelor degree from Sorbonne University and Cairo University, and I worked firstly for BNP Paribas. I accomplished my 2 masters during the first year of working. The first one from Cairo University and the second one from Sorbonne University. And the topic of my research was the financial leasing. Therefore, in addition to my work in the legal department of the bank, I was also working for the legal consultancy of the subsidiary working on the financial leasing. And then after the bank acquisition by Emirates NBD, which is a banking group leading in the region, I was very lucky to be there, since Emirates NBD is a global player in digital banking, which is inspiring my PhD in Sorbonne University that I'm coordinating with. I have the honor to coordinate with the professor and director of the French section. And my doctorate will greatly serve the banking industry and the ultimate society, especially under the current situation.
Thank you so much for that quick brief about yourself. I'm glad that I'm talking to a dog lover because I'm a dog lover too. And to take this further, Dina, we all know the kind of situation we are in right now. COVID-19 has kind of impacted the whole world. Since you come from the banking sector and you are a legal professional, we would like to know how the banking sector in the Middle East region is impacted due to COVID-19, and what solutions do you foresee from a legal perspective?
Yes, it's a very vital question. Since COVID-19 has taken the world to a state of emergency, when governments and regulators implement the lockdown and the movement restriction, ipso facto, the economy loses its balance, including the banking industry. When we analyze the main implication, we found a common theme in the Middle East region, which is a dynamic shift in the business plan and the operating models of banks. And those implications are also reflected in the government's intervention to curb the virus impact. In this case, banks that are agile and flexible will be the ones that succeeded and ensure their financial strength for a future growth. Regarding the first impact, affecting the business plan due to COVID-19 pandemic, the cash flow collapse. Accordingly, banks are exposed to a commercial and retail non-performing loans and the compression of multiple sources of revenue. Many customers are unable to perform their existing contractual obligations or even to readjust their contract to be able to overcome the financial stress. The significant level of uncertainty are resulting a growth in the number and types of disputes. In response of such consequences, the regulators have taken a quick measures in order to sustain the economy and to soften the negative impact. So central banks has encouraged banks to help the impacted customers through granting a new loans or to apply a flexible repayment scheme for the existing borrowers. On the other hand, and in order to allow banks to doing their role on the best possible way, the regulators and governments has granted the banks a financial support programs, and it has softened some government's requirement in order to be more flexible and easy under the current situation. Nevertheless, banks will inevitably face some challenges, especially while reviewing all internal processes, especially the credit policy. However, we should always think positive. There is a French wisdom telling il faut reculer pour bien sauter, which means you have to step back for a better jump. If COVID-19 is a crisis, the word crisis has two meanings. The negative meaning, focusing on what we lost, which is the financial and business aspect. And there is always a positive meaning, focusing on the new opportunity, which is the dynamic shift in the banking ecosystem and the digital transformation. So this is the second implication of COVID-19 pandemic on the banking sector. COVID-19 had challenged all the banking habits. Only the technology can mitigate the current situation, even for the customer and the business. This is a way to increase the revenue and to enhance the operation efficiency. We can say that the current situation will look like a tipping point between pre-COVID-19 and the new normal emerges after the coronavirus. Pre-COVID-19, it was a prosperous time. The financial inclusion and the increase of participation in the economy, it was a strategic objectives. And we were working for the digital transformation and exploring a new customer experience. But there is no emergency. And now all is different. All the stakeholders of the banking relationship are opting for the digital banking. Especially they are weighing for the risk of the in-person banking and the physical interaction. Therefore, the digital banking is now the only solution mitigating all the negative impact. The world becomes digital over the night, and there is a principle that the customer satisfaction is a commercial value. Increasing the customer satisfaction increases the loyalty and increase the profitability. And now the way customer bank has a new digital path. The financial institution that leverage effectively the digital banking and the electronic solutions are the better to withstand with the negative impact of COVID-19. As of today, the UAE is considered as a leader in the region in the digital-only banking market. Egypt now are rapidly catching up the trend, and also all other countries in the Middle East are also on the same way. Here comes the role of the sophisticated and creative lawyer. A true business lawyer should use all possible tools to run the business, and in the same time to provide the protection and compliance support for his bank. The problematic now is doing their role. Banks need to protect their employees, and also it needs to keep the light on during the negative impact. Firstly, from the legal and regulatory aspect, there is a key action that are fueling the movement toward the digital banking. Firstly, the Central Bank of Egypt had issued some reforms on the regulation governing the online banking, the mobile banking, the cashless instruments, aiming to favor and facilitate the electronic services, and also to establish the customer protection rights. On the other side, some of the governmental entities now are accepting the electronic signature on official documents, and other entities are applying for electronic registration for contracts. And the final one, which is a booming and a great transformation, was the new jurisprudence direction to give the electronic mail the same power of the written proof, definitely with some technical conditions, but the principle to have this direction is very important now and for the future. And consequently, according to the above agreements between customer and banks and service provider should also be reviewed in order to be aligned with the new reforms. The processes and the internal procedure should be able to run a fully digitized process, and financial services only digital. And also the internal bank's SLA should also be reviewed in order to set the norms governing the teleworking and the remote working. And finally, ensuring the existence of clear terms conditions in case of digital marketing and in case of applying digital claims. Finally, we can keep the challenge in perspective and focus on the potential benefits, moving to the future and giving the opportunity to a mental creativity. When you look into the future, it can provide you a good foundation of what we need for today. Even after COVID-19 passes, the digital solution will have an enduring relevance for banks. Why moving backwards once the transformation is done? Therefore, and since the innovation precedes the law, the legal community should get ready to give the legality to all the new technologies and to enhance the legal system efficiency in order to be able to resolve all legal issues arising from using the technology. That's what I can say from the legal perspective, that the future we should get ready for the future and the digital transformation, which is already done.
Absolutely. And I think the way you have articulated the entire issue, COVID-19, its impacts, what sort of impacts we have seen globally, what sort of reforms government is trying to make, and how a legal professional or the legal community can also join that cause. You rightly said, we can talk about negatives, but it is always a blessing in disguise. There is always something to learn. There is always something to improve. And I would say I'm being inspired from what you just said, that COVID-19 has also given us an opportunity to force and to push things that we were probably lading back on. So maybe it is the time that we can actually put in a lot of efforts and start using those latest technologies, making sure that the digital banking, mobile banking is used to the optimum. Customers are getting the benefits, and customer experience and customer satisfaction is also taken care of. So I think you have correctly, articulated everything and stitched everything in the speech. So I think, thank you so much for sharing that great insight with us, talking about every important aspect and talking about the solutions and from the future perspective as well. To take this forward, Dina, I would like to ask you from a legal professional perspective, since you have been in the industry for more than 17 years now. I would like to know what are those three core values that you truly believe in, and you think that the young legal professionals should also learn from them.
Yes, legal, the core value is very important. Firstly, and that I truly believe in the teamwork. Trusting my team is an investment. What is better than a brainstorming between a group of lawyers? You will always find a better solution to attain the best scenario and avoid any leakage. It has an endless benefits. There is the first core value. A second one is the creativity and thinking out of the box. Creativity allows you to be different and to be leader. Thinking out of the box without being stuck on your mindset allows you to generate the best ideas. When you hit a problem from a different angle, you can definitely find the best and appropriate solution. And I was very happy when I was in a meeting with our COO, and I was talking about the importance of thinking out of the box. He stopped me and he told me, Dina, there is no box. Definitely, what he said to me, it gives me a space to perform to a high standard and to free up my mind in thinking and creativity. That's very, very important. And the last one, and I see this core value is very important for a lawyer. It's a major character for a lawyer. It's the commitment and responsibility. When you know the nature of our role, you can see that a lawyer is more engaged to deliver. And a lawyer should always be accountable in order to hit his target safely. This is a true lawyer hitting his target safely. This is the most important thing.
Absolutely. I think I agree with you on all three of them. My favorite one was the creativity because I completely, truly believe into that. And you rightly said, then when you were talking to your CEO and he said, Dina, there's no box. It means he gave you a complete free hand to think whatever you can do and come up with logical and better solutions. And this is what exactly the legal departments are supposed to do. Whenever there is a problem, every CEO and CEO looks back to the legal team and say, hey, what should we do now? And that's when you have to play a role of coming up with the right solutions that can really fit the situation and can help you overcome that problem immediately. Thank you so much, Dina, for sharing such great insights. I truly love the conversation. I hope you also like the conversation too. And I'm sure our viewers also will have a lot to learn from this conversation, will be able to take their key takeaways and will be able to implement them into their legal departments. So with that, Dina, thank you so much for sharing those great insights.